Okay, welcome back to another episode of Third and 23. I'm your host, Alex, here to bring you another betting pick and prediction video. This video, I'm going to be talking Illinois versus Duke and Iowa versus Iowa State. It's my first set of videos for week 2 of the college football season. We got a rebound. Obviously, we're starting off pretty slow at 2-4. So, moving into our first game, we got Illinois visiting Duke. Illinois comes to this game as a 2.5-point favorite. This line actually opened at 3.5 and has dropped to 2.5. So when we're talking about the matchups, first looking at Illinois' defense, 39th last season in scoring, 35th completion percentage, pretty solid defense overall. They're a veteran defense this season, though. They bring back 7 starters from a team that went 10-3 a year ago, including the entire secondary. 3/4 of the linebackers come back. They lost the 3 starters up front. They run a 3-4. They lost their 3 starters up front. But they go into the portal and they get James Thompson and Kurt Neal from Wisconsin, 2 really good players. They can step in seamlessly. So I think you're going to look at a really strong front 7. I think you're going to look at a really strong back end. I think you're looking at a really strong defense overall for Illinois this season. Converse to that, going against these Duke offense, Duke's got some issues. First off, let's start with the running game. Tons of issues last year. They finished 126th running the football. The run block efficiency rating their offensive line was -20. Their starting running back, Star Thomas, he transfers. He's not going to run behind that line anymore, right? And keep getting hit in the mouth at the line of scrimmage. So now what do? You got Jordan Waters back, but the offensive line, they lost some pieces, but they didn't really improve. So it looks to me like Duke could still be a little soft up front in terms of running the football. Now passing the ball, they go into the portal and they get Darian Mensah from Tulane. He transfers in, big time upgrade over Malik Murphy from a year ago. But they also lost their top receivers. So now they bring back Smart Hagans, they bring back Quayshawn Brown. These are 2 undersized guys. Each caught roughly 400 yards receiving a year ago, but one of them averaged 10 yards a catch, the other 8 yards a catch. These aren't guys who are making plays downfield. So who's the guy that's going to step up and do that? They went to the portal and got a Harvard transfer, Cooper Barcotti. He hit up Elon for a big play last week, but that's Elon. That game doesn't matter. Mensa went for almost 400 target practice for him, but again, that game doesn't matter. So this is going to be the first real test for this offense to answer a lot of these Duke offensive issues. Now, looking at the flip side of that, let's take a look at Illinois' offense versus Duke's defense. Illinois' offense, first off, it starts with Luke Altmaier, right? A returning starter quarterback, 22-6 touchdown interception ratio, threw for roughly 2,700 yards last season. Mobile quarterbacks, got the intangibles, got the moxie. He can make plays on third down to keep drives alive. Bring back, also in their backfield, 2 of their top 3 rushers, Aiden Lawfrey, Caden Fegan are both back. I'm not the biggest fan of either one of those as far as their game goes. I don't think either one are dynamic running backs, more like slow plotters, but they can get through the line if the hole is there. And speaking of that, all 5 starters return to this offensive line. So they got the offensive line. This is a veteran team. They got the offensive line. They got the running game. They got the quarterback. Biggest question is receivers. They lost 1,600 yards worth of receiving from their top 2 guys a year ago. Pat Bryant and Zachary Franklin both moved on to the NFL. Who are going to be the new guys? Who are going to be the new guys to step up? And you look at Duke. This is where Duke's bread is buttered, right, on the defensive side. Manny Diaz is the coach. These guys cause havoc on this end. 40% pressure rate. To give you some perspective, the average pressure rate across the country is 31%. So Duke is causing havoc. And a lot of it is those two edge rushers that are both coming back. Vincent Anthony and Wesley Williams. These guys both come back. These guys can both bend around that edge and get pressure on Altmaier, because the offensive tackles, while Illinois' experienced, these guys, I don't think they can block these guys, Anthony and Williams. And then on the back end, 17th in the country last year in yards per attempt. They bring back All-American cornerback Chandler Rivers. So while these guys are getting pressure, Chandler Rivers is there roaming, ready to take a pick back. So now how does this game match up? What's going to be my pick? I look at this and I see Duke's defense being able to match up and contend with Illinois' offense. I think these guys are going to bend and get pressure. I think Altmaier is going to be on the run and be forced to make plays with his legs. I think these Illinois wide receivers are going to find difficulty finding pockets of open space in this Duke secondary. But on the flip side of that, I think Duke is going to have a lot harder of a time moving the football offensively. It's really just Mensa out there. Mensa, I believe in. I think he's really it. But the rest of the guys at receiver, we don't know. Question marks. And against this veteran secondary, with Xavier Scott on the back end, he can clamp down against anyone. It's going to be problems. This running game was awful last season. I don't see really any improvement against this front seven. They're going to have problems. I think Illinois' defense is going to be able to dominate this game in all three phases, as far as linebackers, and secondary, and they make it very hard for Mensa to be able to move the ball. While I can see Altmaier moving it, converting third downs, keeping drives alive, and to be able to keep Illinois' offense on the field. So for me, I like Illinois, and I'm going to lay the 2.5 in this one. It's gone from 3.5 to 2.5. Not really sure why. If you're feeling what I'm feeling, you may want to wait a little and see if you can get an even better price, right? But at 2.5, I already like it. Not planning on getting into it. So, anyways, let's continue moving on with the next game, which is Cyhawk Trophy, Cyhawk Rivalry, Iowa visiting Iowa State. Iowa State 2.5 point favorite. So when you talk Iowa, you always got to start with their offense, right? Because it's terrible. Last season, 120th in the country pass offense yards per attempt, 131st in the country pass offense yards per game. Gone Arcade McNamara and whoever other quarterbacks they played last season. They go into the portal and get Mark Gronowski from Dakota from the FCS ranks. You're thinking, okay, now they got a quarterback, right? At least that's what's the hype. That's what the buzz is going to be in preseason, because everybody thinks they got something when they bring something new to the team. First game is against Albany. This is the show the fans, show everybody what you got in the passing game. 44 yards passing, 2.9 yards per attempt, a 24 QBR. The issue is this. They don't have receivers. They haven't had receivers at Iowa since Tim Dwight. They got no one on the edge that's going to get open. Gronowski was very productive at the FCS ranks, but he's used to playing against FCS players with other FCS players that he has chemistry with. Here, he doesn't have chemistry with these guys, and even though they're playing against an FCS team, their receivers are probably bottom tier FCS receivers, right? They're not real legit dudes. So big issues on the outside passing the ball still. Then you on top of that, they bring back Kamari Moulton. He was the second stringer to Caleb Johnson a year ago. Good running back, but now he got injured. Now he's out. He's going to miss several weeks. So now this offense is really looking dicey. Iowa State, on the other hand, 96 in the country last year against the run. Big issue was they lost tons of linebackers to injuries. They had 6 different starting linebackers a year ago. All 6 of those guys return. These guys go 2-3 deep at the linebacker position. I think that's going to make a big difference for Iowa State this season. And then in the secondary, a bulk of their secondary returns. They allowed 52 completion percentage, 5.5 yards per attempt, 10th in the country. This is one of the top secondaries last year. I think they're going to be one of the tops this season as well. So it's a bad matchup for Iowa's offense. Now you look at the flip side, Iowa's defense, right? This is Iowa's defense. This is always been the strength of their team. Starts up front, and I think it's going to continue. They have a great front four. They lost guys from last year. They lost guys 2 years ago. There's been a ton of talent running through these defensive line halls for Iowa, and it's still gonna be much of the same. Llewellyn and Herkett, 2 great edge rushers who can collapse and crush pockets from the outside. And as you saw over the weekend, great edge rushers. Early in the season, they are owning the line of scrimmage right now and on the pass rush. But then you got some questions. Changeover at linebacker. They lost big-time linebacker Higgins in the middle of the defense. They lost all 3 of their linebackers. So who are going to be the new faces to step up? And then in the secondary, they lose Sebastian Castro and Jamari Harris. Those guys have been there a long time. They were their 2 best defensive backs by the numbers last season. TJ Hall, Deshaun Lee, these guys are experienced corners, but they're not as good as these guys. Entringer and Nwanka, good safeties, experienced safeties, I should say, but not as good as Castro. So might be some issues there on the back end for Iowa, at least early on in the season. Then at Iowa State, the big question for them is, you got Rocco Beck, that quarterback, really good quarterback, put up great numbers last year. But he had 2 receivers that went over 1,100 yards receiving a year ago, and they're both gone to the NFL. So who are going to be the new guys for Iowa State? Big question mark for them. And then in the running game, Carson Hansen, Abu Sama returning running back. Are they overrated? Might be a little overrated. They're guys who can move the pile, but they don't necessarily break a lot of tackles. They don't make a lot of guys miss. They don't hit off a lot of big plays. So then how do I think this is going to play out in this game? You look at Iowa's defense, I think their front four is going to whip this Iowa State offensive line. We saw them get whipped against Kansas State. I think these Iowa State running backs, I don't think they're really going to get off like that against these Iowa front, even though they got to change over at linebackers, just because I don't really think those running backs are really that dude. And Iowa just has a scheme with their defensive coordinator, Phil Parker, that system in place that they might be new faces, but they know what it is. So I think Iowa State's going to have trouble moving the ball. On the flip side of that, though, how is Iowa going to score? How are they going to score? They're not going to be able to throw the ball against this secondary. So now it's be on the ground. But now your starting running back, Kamari Moulton, he's gone. Iowa State is going to be complete at the line of scrimmage, making sure that everybody's up at the line is going to put it on Gronowski. So who are you going to trust? Gronowski or Rocco Becht, who's been there, done that? Now give me Rocco Becht. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 2.5. I don't know why this has dropped from 3 to 2.5. And you may want to keep watching, keep a lookout for this one. I've been searching. Is there an injury in Iowa State that I don't know about? I haven't seen anything. It could be because Iowa has had success in Ames as of late, but I'm not buying it this year. Go ahead and give me Iowa State, and I'm laying at 2.5. But anyways, that wraps it up, and there are going to be more Week 2 college football picks and prediction videos, so stay tuned for that. If you like the content, please like, comment, subscribe, all of that, and take care.